Good to see you, Yanko. Thank you for coming. Thank you for the beautiful, kind words and encouragement. Baruch Hashem. I hope we can grow from each other, and that's really what it's all about. Okay, so we're going to get started. I'd like to thank Hashem for giving me another opportunity to get together and learn with you, and to share Rabbi Nachman's and Rabbi Nassan's holy, special words of Torah and instruction and guidance. We're broadcasting from the Elizabeth Breslov studio, and with me in the studio this evening is my son Yehuda. So he'll be joining me in person, and everyone else online, listening in real time or asynchronously. Welcome, Beryl. And as mentioned in the first two sessions, we went very quickly through Rabbi Nachman's Torah tests, and we covered a lot of important, interesting topics. And as I mentioned, the value of having that Torah in our minds will become apparent tonight. Anybody that has not learned it, you'd still benefit from tonight. No reason not to listen to this year now. However, I strongly recommend that you do yourself a favor and learn the Torah test 9. Breslov Research Institute has wonderful Likutei Moharan in English and makes it very accessible to the English-speaking public and anybody who's not familiar with learning Breslov Torah. And wonderful resources and tools are available. So I highly recommend that you do that. And then perhaps either think about this lesson that we're going to learn tonight or learn it again in the context of, in the framework of that lesson. So we're going to begin this evening with an interesting halacha that Rav Nassan brings to light vis-a-vis the Torah 9 Torah tests that we learned the last couple of weeks, and that is the concept, the halacha of hezek re'iyah. If we were in person, or Yehuda's here, I might ask, has anybody heard of the halacha, the concept of hezek re'iyah? Literally, it means damage caused by looking, by seeing. Some may be familiar with it, others may not. It's akin to the evil eye, to the ayin hara, and also an invasion of privacy. And it was a serious matter, and is a serious matter, that a person is entitled to their privacy, but a person is also entitled not to be the subject of someone else's glare, stare, notice, and then perhaps their unwelcome thoughts and wishes for that person when they see something that they're either jealous of or they see something that they don't like, etc., etc. So that's, in a nutshell, the idea, a very, very large overview. Sorry, I was just getting something popping across my screen that was distracting me. The idea of hezek re'iyah, of causing damage, basically, with one's eyes, looking where you're not supposed to be looking. So Reb Nassan starts out, and he's going to correlate the Torah that we learned to this halacha in Shulchan Aruch, Choshen Mishpat, and excuse me. And it's my hope that we'll be able to do the whole segment this evening, and if not, we'll continue it next week. I don't feel the necessity to rush through this as much as I did through the first part. Baruch Hashem. Okay, this that our rabbis warned us to distance damage from our friend. Sorry. And more so with regard to hezek re'iyah, damage of seeing, of glancing, of looking at someone else's life, possessions, activity, etc. Za'asr, it's prohibited. Asos chalon, neged chalon, or pesach neged pesach. Pesach. It's prohibited to make a window facing a window or a doorway for facing a doorway. So it's something to keep in mind. There's an actual halacha that states that if your neighbor's house is here and he's got a window, and your house is here and you want to put a window, you have to offset your window so that you will not intrude on his inner space by your building a window right there, which will inhibit him from using his property the way he wants to and feeling comfortable doing so, and 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 and, and inhibit your glances in his direction. So that's a basic premise. Al pi haTorah tahomos yichas yumu. With regard to the Torah, the lesson, Rabbi Nachman in Likutei Moharan of tahomos yichas yumu, that the depths will cover them. Masha Kosav al Pasuk Tzohar, that which was written with regard to the Pasuk of Tzohar Ta'asel Teva, you should make a Tzohar for the ark. So we said that the word Tzohar, and we're going to discuss it again tonight, according to Rashi, could mean one of two things. It could mean a window. Good idea if you're building an ark to have a window, so let light in, etc. And it could also mean an Even Tovah, good stone, a light generating device of some sort, which doesn't rely on external light, but it generates its own light from itself. And then we said that's Ta'as el Teva, you should make for the ark. Teva means ark, but it also means words. So we were saying that a person's words need to be the device that open up these windows or these enlightening types of opportunities through davening, through tefillah. She'ikar tikkun tefillah al yedei emes. And how do we get that light? Well, if you remember from last times, of course, we connect to the source of all light, which is Hashem. And the way we connect to Hashem is through speaking the truth. Hashem wants to be around people who speak truth, and he does not want to be around those who speak in falsehoods or lies. Ayin Sham Heitiv. Look over there very well. Now I have to apologize for the layout of the page here. Initially, I had uploaded a version of this from Sephora, but at the last, well, it wasn't the last minute, it was yesterday. I discovered that it didn't have any of the nikudos, and it also didn't have any commas or periods, which would make it difficult, I felt, not only let's say, for me to read, but also for everyone to follow along. So what I did was I uploaded a PDF of the volume of LIKUTEY HALACHOT that I have. Excuse me. But then tonight I realized, excuse me, I realized that there are two columns, and I'm going to have to keep going up and down. Which I hadn't realized. I got so excited about learning the technology of how to upload it. So I apologize for that if it's a little bit choppy going up and down. We'll make it clear as we follow through with a pointer and everything. But God willing, for the other Likutei Halachos the other halachos that we're going to be learning, I have another set of Likutei Halachos that I can upload, and that's straight across. So it might be a little bit easier to follow. So again, sorry for if that's a distraction for anybody. Maybe you wouldn't have noticed that had I not said anything, but be that as it may. Okay, so the lesson begins. Ki kol hazekos nimshachim mipikam ha'emes. Oh, and by the way, at any point, anybody wants to type in anything, including you, do you want to say something? Raise your hand. Actually, you can speak if you'd like to do so. Anybody has a question or comment? I would really like to make this a little bit more interactive, if possible. So the Nasa starts out by saying, "Kikol hazekos nimshachem mipikama elas." All damages originate from a blemish in truth, with regard to emes, with regard to someone's association of truth. Ki chiyus kol hadvarim sheba'olam, because the life source, as we said in Torah Test, I'm going to keep saying that so know that we're making a reference. It's not to remind you. You may already be reminded, but it's also to make you aware that he's referencing that Torah. So he says, "Ki chiyus kol hadvarim sheba'olam," because the life source, the life blood of everything in the world, hum mehat tefillah, is from tefillah, is from prayer. Shemisham mekabim hakol chiyus, and it's from there, it's from prayer that everything receives chiyus. If you remember, excuse me, I still have a slight cough. That when a person prays, we learned in Torah Test, when a person prays, when a person davens, he energizes the malachim. He gives strength and power to the malachim. Those malachim are then able to take that strength that they derive, that they glean, that they get from the human person who's davening, and then they're able to do what they're supposed to do. So, for example, we quoted the Gemara that said that a blade of grass does not grow down here on earth until a malach stands over it and taps it and says, okay, now it's time for you to grow. Well, how does the malach get its energy, its, let's say, instruction in a certain sense to do that? So Ibn Nachman says it comes from our telos. We actually play an important role in this, in the main sustenance, the sustaining of the bria, in this sense. The hezek, so to that extent, prayer plays an essential role in a healthy, functioning, properly ordered, good world. It's part of the world. The hezek who have and damage is the exact opposite of chiyus, of life. When something is damaged, it's broken. It can't function properly. A lot of times, physically speaking, we have to actually remove that part from the person. If it's, let's say, a physical ailment of some sort, a limb, an organ isn't working properly, it actually joins the other side, and it has to be gotten rid of, because at this point, not only is it not doing what it's supposed to, but it's also preventing everything else from doing what they're supposed to. So you have to actually get rid of the bad thing. So Rav Nassan is saying that hezek, damage as a concept, is diametrically opposed to tefillah, and tefillah with MS. Because tefillah with MS is what brings life into the world, and damage, when someone damages something, they're destroying something in the world. Ki hahezek hu kilkul ushvira, because hezek, damage, is when something is broken. Kilkul, broken, shvira, cracked, broken. Bechinas misa, it's like it's dead. It's not functioning the way it's supposed to function. For all intents and purposes, it's dead. Shemekalkel or mazik hachias, it was that the person damaged and ruined the chias of that thing. Shabbat Sadava, of that thing. Yeah, okay, and therefore, the damage that happens through a blemish in tefillah, shemisham kol hachios shel kol hadvarim sheba'olam, which is supposed to be the mechanism through which all life comes into the world. So in other words, mechanism which is supposed to bring life and vitality and energy and positivity into the world. If that becomes blemished, then it's a big problem. And the pagam of tefillah, the blemish in tefillah, is when there's a blemish in MS. Shemisham called tikkun tefillah, because it's through there that the entire tikkun tefillah can be made. So to explain what this means, we said in Torah Test that when a person wants to start to daven and he or she starts to daven, hi, you're welcome back. So when a person is davening, immediately they become affected and influenced by extraneous thoughts and distractions. And these thoughts and distractions do just that. They distract him from his tefillah, from his from his prayer. Rabbi Nachman says the cure for that, the repair for that situation. In other places, Rabbi Nachman says it's not for nothing that a person's having this extraneous thought. They're not so extraneous, actually. They actually serve an important purpose. But if I'm trying to daven for, let's say, parnas or refuah, or I'm davening for something else, the Gula Shlema, for example, to pick a topic. But whatever I'm davening for, if I'm having some other thought at the time that I'm davening, it's very distracting. And it could seem to me like there's no way out. Rabbi Nachman described that I'm surrounded by blackness because at that moment I'm not thinking clearly, I don't understand, I can't relate, I'm having a hard time. But really, there are doors all around, but I need light in order to find those doors and find those yeshuos, those salvations, and those answers, those eitzos in my life. I need the light to understand the avenues and the pathways that are accessible to me. In order to do that, in order to get that light, I need MS. MS, without MS, however, the tefillah is it's blemished, and it's not going to have the effect that it needs to have. Rabbi Nachman, Rabbi Nassim are going to say, if there's one, he's going to say it in the halacha here also, I believe. If there's one thing you can do to work on your tefillah in a very, very significant way, it's to be conscientious and conscious of the fact that what you're saying has to be true. If you're asking Hashem for something, it's got to come from a source of truth. If you're thanking Hashem for something, that has to come from a source of truth. You have to be real. Hashem doesn't want you to be phony. Hashem wants the real you talking to him. So that's what we're talking about. When someone davens and it's lip service and they don't have an investment of MS in their tefillah, then they might get a mitzvah of tefillah. That's wonderful, but they're not going to have the same power behind that tefillah as they would if they infused it with MS. True. So it's very important on whatever level to make sure if you're feeling struggling like you're trying to daven but you're distracted or whatever, focus on MS. Say the words simply, try to understand them, and say, I am meaning what I'm saying and I'm saying what I'm meaning. Because when a person, and here he's giving an overview of the Torah, when a person stands to daven, haklipos misalvino, so the klipos, the external negative forces that distract us, surround him, in the same vein as the pasuk says, round about the evil ones go, basically. And as a result of this, our hapless davener is left in darkness because he's not davening effectively because he's being distracted. You can hardly blame him. It's impossible for him to daven. The hatikum is the MS. The solution for this is MS. Ki MS he or Hashem Yisbarach, because truth is the light of Hashem Yisbarach. And it's through this that you'll be able to see those doorways. In the darkness. Let's say Misham, to go out of them. In other words, to go through, you'll be able to pass through the doorways in your tefillah and in your life that you need and you want. Sorry. And due to this, through this methodology of making emes like the main thing that you're focusing on in your tefillah, you will be able to daven even betachlis hachoshech, in the absolute darkness. Tachlis means like the highest form of whatever whenever I read this from the Tzvi Rosenfeld, he said that Tachlis refers, when Rabbi Nachman and Rabbi Nasser refer to it, it refers to the epitome, the highest level of it. So when he says, "Afilu imhu b'tachlis hachoshech chas v'shalom," even if he's in the highest, darkest extent of darkness, chas v'shalom, he'll still be able to daven. Ayin sham heitiv. Look over there very well. Lamaisa. Sorry for the break. Ayin tov heitiv lamaisa. Practically speaking. Because it's in a wonderful, wonderful, tried and tested Eitzah, advice. And many have already had the merit through this Eitzah, through this advice, to daven with real and heartful intent. Even though they were in very, very dark situations. And even though it seemed to them that they would never be able to elevate themselves and daven with kavana, with intent. And even though, and not even though, and ayadei shikiba, and since they accepted upon themselves, they received this eitzah, bipshitas, with simplicity, shechosru v'hisyago, that they made great strives and effort, the daber hadibur al kolpanim, to say whatever they were saying, at the very least, the MS, in truth, Kamoshu ayadei, Kamoshu as ever, as whatever little amount of whatever little amount of truth they could muster, even Koshu, even a little bit of truth. See, Rav Nassim doesn't even say a person has to be entirely truthful. Let him even be whatever level of truth he can muster. Even that is effective. The main thing is to just be as real as you possibly can with yourself in your expressions to Hashem, in your davening to Hashem.
So I was actually wondering, it sounds like a chicken before the egg kind of situation. That you have the person who's in this Tafat Tahosha, who's in a place that is so dark that light is inaccessible on any level.
In a black hole.
And now, right, in a black hole, there's no light. And you now telling him that he has to find an MS in the midst of this Hosha. And it seems to me an impossibility, but now it sounds like what Nelson is saying, that he has to grab a little bit of MS and then he'll claw his way out a little bit, and then he'll grab a little bit more MS and claw his way a little further out and go back and forth until he gets to complete MS.
Good point, absolutely. First of all, Rabbeinu Zal would never give us an Eitzah Tova and a Chona like this if it weren't able to be done, because Rabbi Nachman and Rabbi Nassim are all about being very practical, especially in Avodas Hashem, if not exclusively. So that's number one. So even in the Tachlis HaChoshech, as we discussed, you can be sure that at the very least, someone can speak the truth. It doesn't matter what truth they're speaking, meaning, let's say someone gets so frustrated that they say, Hashem, I am so frustrated. He spoke the truth. Now we're talking. We've broken him. Now he's able to come real with something. It's an important madrega. It's an important step. And from there comes more truth and more truth. And we're going to see what truth really means in this halacha. It's a good point. So continuing on, many people have been able to use this eitzah, focusing on MS, in order to be able to daven regardless of their situation. niftach lahem ora yisbarach, and through this it opened for them the light of Hashem Yisbarach. V'hischilu pitom lehispalel b'hislavus v'chias gadol, and they all of a sudden, like not even knowing probably where it came from, they started to daven with tremendous hislavus, passion, and life and vigor. Avami shapogim b'zeh, the one who has blemished this, meaning the power of tefillah. And he's not trying to draw himself with to the side of MS, to speak MS. It's through this that his tefillah becomes blemished. Then he's not going to be able to daven. Now that doesn't mean he can't say the words. But when we talk about davening, we're talking about davening. And the kind of davening that we're talking about here, the guy who knows he should be speaking the truth and he's not going to have access to that kind of davening. And it's from there, from this lack of MS, this kind of blemished kind of davening that a person does, chas v'shalom, it's from there that all of these damaging things come about. That are the opposite of chiyas. Which is supposed to flow from tefillah, prayer, which is infused with MS. Nimtza. Excuse me. Even I'm a little distracted by this double page. Nimtza. Shekol ha'hazekos al yidei pagam ha'emes. As a result of this, Reb Nosson has proven to us that all hazekos, all damagings, happen as a result of a lack of emes. He's going to continue explaining what this means. And this is what it says in the pasuk in Tehillim: Ki hu yatzilecha mipach yakush. He will save you from the ensnaring trap, as translated by ArtScroll. It means a nasty trap. And then the pasuk continues, and the next pasuk says, "Tzina v'sochera amito." A tzina and a sochera are shields, guards. And the pasuk says, "Tzina v'sochera amito." His truth will be a guard and a shield for you. So we see correlation between MS and something guarding you and protecting you. When are you going to be saved from all sorts of traps? Think about that darkness, not finding the doorways type of scenario. And from all damaging things in the world, how is it going to happen? It's going to happen through truth. Through the idea of that MS, his MS will come and protect you. MS Magain is Shomer Mekulam, because truth, Magain, is a shield, a Shomer, and a guard from everything. Okay. That's pretty much the background. Now Reb Nosson, but it's an important background, and Reb Nosson is masterfully setting the stage. So we're going to continue now with Beis. And because of this, a person needs to be very careful from damaging his friend, whether physically or monetarily. Because all damages are drawn from the mizike alma, from the damaging forces in the world, shema klipos, which are the klipos. Excuse me. Klipos, again, are taivos ros, are bad desires. Klipos are distractions. Klipos are yitzrei hara, when we're enticed to do things we shouldn't be doing. when we have the distraction to do those things. Klipos are basically shells, obstructions between us and closest to Hashem. So it's these klipos that create this distraction from Hashem that then create the hezek, the damage. Because when someone's connected to Hashem, there is no damage. There's life. Hashem is the source of life. The hachosha. So that's what we're trying to get. We're trying to stay connected and connect ourselves in every situation to the source of our life, which is Hashem. Shehem haklipas v'achosha, which are the darkness. Excuse me 1 second. Just make this a little bigger. Hamonim mahatfila. So these klipos, these what's the word I'm looking for? Something that breaks between two things. These klipos prevent our tefillah. They hold back our tefillah. Shichias hakol, which is the life source of everything, as we said above. And this is what our rabbi said with regard, more so with regard to hezek re'iyah, the prohibition about looking into someone else's domain or privacy, invading someone else's privacy. That it's prohibited to make a window opposite another person's window. Because the main light is Hashem. Hashem is the source of light. As it says in the pasuk, Hashem Ori, Yishi. Hashem is my light and my salvation. And from Hashem are drawn down all the light in the world. So Hashem is the source of light. The Ikar Ha'or Hu Emes. And the main light comes from truth. Umisham kol or einayim bechinas shlach orcha v'amitecha, and from there, call or hanab, all the light of the eyes, bechinas shlach orcha, as in the context of send forth your light, v'amitcha, and your truth. There we see again concept of light and truth together. This is part of another Torah. The Alkain, if I'm going to continue. The Alkain, therefore, the Alkain Hasheker, and therefore falsehood, lie, Shu Hefach Emes, which is the opposite of truth, Mazik Le'enayim, Begashmias Uberuchmias. So, truth, if it's the source of Orcha V'Amitcha, of light and of truth, then it stands to reason that lie is a source of hezek, of ruination, of damage to the eyes in a physical and in a spiritual way. Kamosh Kosev, as it says in the Torah, Torah Omer Rabbi Akiva, Kamosh Kosev, Torah Omer Rabbi Akiva. I think this is what I was referring to when I said it's in the Torah. Sorry. Kamosh Kosev, Torah Omer Rabbi Akiva, as it says in Torah Nun Aleph, Omer Rabbi Akiva, Ava Or HaEmes, but the light of truth, shall rov ha'olam, of most of the world, hu b'chinas chalon, is like a window. So remember we said in the beginning that Rashi says there's two explanations to it Zohar. Either it's a window or a stone that produces its own light. And in the Torah test, Ibn Achman said that the difference is that a window lets the light pass through, but there has to be a light coming from somewhere. Versus the stone, which is producing its own light. Ki etzem ha'emes shehi b'chinas even tov, ein mi sheyasigo ki im hatzadikim ha'amitim ha'gedolim b'ma'ala ma'od. So here Reb Nosson says an important thing. He says, that's all important, but vis-a-vis this point, that the main truth that comes about through the Even Tov is not accessible, is not attainable by most people. Ki im hatzadikim ha'amitim ha'gedolim, except for the greatest, truest tzadikim, the ma'ala ma'od, on the highest levels. So in order to be an Evan Tov or an Evan Tova, a person needs, in other words, to be a self-generating source of Hashem's light, to be so true in everything you are, not only what you say, what you think, what you do, everything, inside and out, 1000%. He says that level is reserved for the greatest tzaddikim. Aval Shar HaOlam, but the rest of the world, Afilu HaKsherim VaHaTzadikim. The rest of the world, even those who are kosher, they're proper, VaHaTzadikim, and they're righteous. Kitzas Kol HaEmes, practically the Kitzas Kol HaEmes Shalahem, practically all the emes, all of their emes, Hi B'Bechinas Chalon, is like a window. Sha'af HaPishu HaEmes, that even though it is true, even though it's emes, Aval Ein HaEmes Barur B'Tachlis HaBrirus, but it's not crystal clear. So what does this mean? It means that there are actually two levels of truth, two levels of emes. The first level we discussed is reserved for the greatest tzaddikim. That level basically says that these tzaddikim have the ability to draw down and use and influence and express Hashem's light. They are their own power plants of Kedusha. Whereas most of the rest of the world, even though they are tzaddikim, and even though they're kasherim, they're kosher Jews, they fulfill all of the mitzvos, stay away from all of the averos, etc. But even still, they're not on that pristine a level, like that they can be like an Evan. Rather, they're more like a chalon. So that's a huge level to be on in and of itself. But there's a distinction. Again, because the Evan will produce its own light, and the chalon draws the light in through the window. By and Sham, Mashakazer Shama Amayim Chazal. And look over there about what he said about the Maimar Chazal. Yeshomim, there are those who say Evan Tov, Yeshomim Chalon. Some say that it was an Evan Tov, as we've been explaining. Yeshomim Chalon, and those who say that it was a window. Ayin Sham, look over there. And all of the windows and doors in the house, or that through them will enter the light. They all have their root. They're all rooted in emes. So having a chalon is by no means a small feat in and of itself. And I'm sure there's different levels of windows, different kinds of windows. So the more righteous someone is, the clearer the window. But they may not be an Evan. But that's a wonderful. I'm not saying that's such a terrible place to be. But in order to get that window, you have to have MS. Yehuda?
Awareness and vision of Hashem that's achievable on this world without anything in front of him. That's awareness of truth.
Mm-hmm.
You know that Moshe Rabbeinu was Nevada something, so that means that it was as if he didn't exist. It was not when people looked at him. There was nothing in between himself and Hashem as far as his personality goes. So it was as if he was getting his MS straight from Hashem.
I wouldn't disagree with you. Absolutely. Very good. Okay, continuing. Shehi b'chinas shehu tikkun hatfilah shemisham kol hachiyus v'haor shel kol hadvarim sheba'olam. That's where all of the life for everything comes from for the world. Cain, and therefore, tzrichin the zahar ma'or b'yosem alahazik b'ri'iyasa. b'ri'yaso. Person needs to be very careful, exceedingly careful, from doing damage with his re'iyah, with his vision, with his glances, with his sight. Ki ikar hezek re'iyah nimshach machmas shisham ba'or he'enayim krucha baldovar. Because ki ikar hezek re'iyah, the main problem with hezek re'iyah, of causing damage with one's glance or through their looking, is drawn from the light of the eyes. Krucha baldovar, and that's biyosa, and that's where the baldovar, the Yetzer Hara, has wrapped himself even more so. This aches sham, in order to grab hold there, shiyastacha min atzad hafech, in order that he should look at things in an off kind of way. I didn't finish the sentence, excuse me. Min hatzad hafech ha'emes, from the opposite side of truth. So you could be sure that something as powerful as the vision, the eye, the glance, which we said was orcha v'mitcha, your light, your truth. It's a source of, it's a way of connecting. It's a source of goodness from Hashem. It's going to have some challenge. That challenge is coming from the Baldava, from the Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara would love to control someone's eyes. If he can control someone's eyes, he can take control of the person. So it's very important that we try very hard not to allow the Yetzer Hara to gain a foothold when it comes to choosing what we look at and what we don't look at. The Iker HaChizasa Ba'emes, and the main thing that he's going for is emes. If the Baal Davar, if the Yetzer Hara can knock emes out of the picture, then it's a slam dunk. He knows he's got a lot of control over that person. Shi b'chinas chalon, because that's the window. Shu b'chinas ha'emes shel rov ha'olam. That's what most people are using for their source of light. Most people in the world are using emes as created into a chalon, as the source of their light coming from Hashem. So the Baldava, the Yetzer Hara, wants to be poging that process by enticing the person to look at things they shouldn't. And as a result of that, they'll lose the window. And as a result of that, they'll lose the light coming from Hashem. And when the person loses the light coming from Hashem, then they think everything is black and all is lost. That's the process. Because since the emes, which flows through a chalon, through a window, is not in the absolute highest level of clarity, as we said before, only an Evan is, and that's only reserved for the greatest tzaddikim, right? So everyone else, even many tzaddikim and ksherim are getting their light through a chalon, but that chalon does have its challenges. Since it's not absolutely clear, what happens is it gives the Baldava, it gives the Yetzer Hara a little bit of a foothold that we have to be very careful and cognizant of. If it would be an Evan, if it would be a stone, if it would be self-generated, then that person is already, like you mentioned, Moshe Rabbeinu. He was beyond the Yetzer Hara at that point. He was so infused with Hashem entirely. So the Yetzer Hara had no relevance to him after a certain point. The greatest tzaddikim are on that kind of a level. Most of us, even if those of us who become tzaddikim, are still struggling at times. The bigger a person gets, the bigger his Yetzer Hara gets. We struggle with these things. And as a result of that, we have to be very careful not to allow the Baldavar to take hold of our vision, what we look at, because therein can lie a possible chink in our armor, so to speak. Okay, and therefore, yesh lo koach le'his aches bo, because we're using a chalon, which is not as pristine an image or a mechanism through which to shine Hashem's light, since we're using a chalon, it gives the Baal Davar a foothold. In order to turn truth into lie. Now, later on, he's going to say beautiful, beautiful things about this concept of truth into lie. Understanding what somebody else is doing and why is half of the battle, if not all of the battle. When you look at somebody and they do something and you say, I just don't understand why he's doing such a thing. If the reality is, if you could understand him, why he's doing such a thing, it would probably make sense to you. Because it makes sense to him. And that's why he's doing it. So we're going to explore that a little bit more in a couple minutes. Okay, we're obviously not going to finish this halacha tonight, but I said that was fine. I'm more interested in really talking it out so that we have something really, really tangible that we can really bring home and use when we daven and in our daily lives. The alkain, and therefore, but ms aim to kana lezeh ki im sheyikasher atzma letzadike ms, and therefore, with this kind of ms, the fighting chance that it has is if we bind it to the tzaddik emes, to the true righteous people, that their emes is with absolute clarity. The hazichuch, okay, the clarity and purity, shehi bebechinas even tov, because they are the embodiment of the Even Tov, the self-generating source of Hashem's light. Shisham ein l'Hashem shum achiza, because there it doesn't give falsehood any foothold to take over. So even though I, Eliyahu Hecht, am not on that kind of a level where my MS is coming through an Even, I can take advantage of being associated with tzaddikim by binding my philos with those tzaddikim, and then when I do that, I get an extra boost because those tzaddikim will say, "Okay, we got Hecht's tefillah in here, hands off. We'll take it. We'll take it from here. We know what to do with this one," and the tzaddikim will be able to empower my tefillos in the right way, as we said in the Torah, in Torah Tess. They'll be able to know which shar it's supposed to go through, what gate it's supposed to go through. They'll bundle it together with all of the other appropriate ones that it's supposed to, so it can have a powerful impact and everything else good. But it'll also be impervious at that point to any damage from mazike olam, so to speak. And then he, in my example, me, let's say, my tefillah was coming from a source of truth of a chalon, a window, which we said was not as high as an Even. But by binding my tefillah with the tzaddikim, then my tefillahs will also be effective. Until I'm able to get out of that darkness, through his emes. In other words, through his emes, even though it's not 100%, he'll still be able to use it to find the answers in his life that he needs. She bechinas chalon, that is, even though his emes is like a chalon, like a window. Yeah, Cain, and therefore, excuse me, asur lasos chalon neged chalon. It's prohibited to make a window facing another window. Ki hachalon shu bechinas ha'emes, because a chalon, which has the idea of emes, shall kol echad miYisrael, practically every Jew, their level is a level of chalon. Now you're going to look at other people and say, "Oh, there's a chalon." But we all have, practically all Jews are on the level of getting their emes through the mechanism of the concept of a chalon. We're not in Even. We know we're not. We at least have to be truthful about that. I don't think that would be hard for most people. The chalon of most Jews, who mishuna harbe lahachalon v'haemes shel chavero. But each and every person's chalon, each and every person's window is a little unique compared to the other person's window. Ki kol echad miyisrael, because every person, every Jew, Kefi shorsho mishivto, commensurate with his shoresh, his roots, and his shevet, his tribe, shemisham nosach v'seder, which from there he gets his nusach, his style of prayer, his text of prayer. This is something we discussed in the Torah as well. That each Jew comes from a shevet, and each shevet has its own pathway and its own gate, right? And we said that every Jew, and now we're saying every Jew has a window of truth, that their truth comes through the mechanism of chalon, of window. We say to tefillah, so kfid ma'asov, and the order of his prayers comes through his shevet. Ukefid ma'asav, and according to his acts, kein ha'emes shelo, so too is his emes. We'll read a little bit more and then we'll explain what this means. And from here, from this, nimshachim ribuya hashinuyin, come a myriad of differences and distinctions and nuances shebein echad lechavero, between one person and his friend. Afilu haksherim v'hayasharim, even those who are kosher and yosher and straight. We all know what kosher means, but yashar means straight. Zeh mispala ba'aruka, because one person davens long, it takes a long time to daven. V'zeh b'mhirus, and one davens quickly. Zeh b'kol ram, this person davens with a loud voice. V'zeh b'kol namuch, and this one davens quietly. So Reb Nosson is explaining how each person has his own style, how he connects best to tefillah. One davens quick, one davens slow, one davens loud, one davens soft. Lots of these different nuances and differences. The inya tefillasam, with regard to how they pray. Lavodosam, and in their avoda. Le'ein mispar, it's without number, it's innumerable. Even though both of them have kavana ritsuya, they have a, I'll say, like a pure, heartfelt kavana, right? Something that would be desirable by Hashem. They do, but each one's davening very differently. The Kamosha Amar Zal, as our rabbis say, echad hamar ve'echad hamami, whether someone does a lot or someone does a little, ubilvad she'kaven libo l'shamayim. The main thing is that his intention, his focus, should be l'shem shamayim, for the sake of heaven. In other words, he should do whatever he. We're not saying here that God forbid that a person shouldn't do all the mitzvahs. We're saying here, let's say, for example, somebody's sitting down to learn. So let's say someone has, after a long day, they have 15 minutes to learn. Or let's say someone sits down and they have 20 minutes to learn. And someone has 3 hours to learn. All different kinds of people, all different kinds of days and opportunities and differences. But so let's say a person only has a little bit of time. Should they feel bad? No, they shouldn't feel bad. The main thing is that they should take what they have and use it, and that their kavana, their intent, should be l'shem shamayim. Hashem, I am doing this with my fullest heart. If I could do more, I would do more. But what I'm doing l'shem shamayim. So each person davens this way. Some daven long, some daven short. Ki afa pi sheshneim kavanasam be'emes, even though both of our people in the scenario, the slow davener and the quick davener, the loud davener, the quiet davener, they do have true kavanah. Nevertheless, the truth of one is unique to his friend. So now let's explain just quickly what this means. What it means is, Let's read a little bit more. Yalkein, us, because I find that I then explain it and then I read, and then Reb Nosson says it. So let me share with you his words, and then you'll hear from me. Yalkein, and therefore, asur la'adam lehistacha b'chaveru l'ra. It's prohibited for a person to look negatively, badly at his friend. Af al pi, even though, give me 1 second. Even though shenid malo lefi ha'emes shalo, it seems to him, meaning the onlooker, even though it seems to him shechavera eno misnaheg be'emes, that his friend's not acting in with emes, with truth. The eno mispala be'emes. That guy, there's no way he could be done with his Shmona Esrei so fast. Or vice versa. Look at that guy. Who does he think he is? Davening Shmona Esrei for a good 10, 15 minutes. There's no way he's having Kavanah through all of that time. He's doing it so everyone should think he's such a righteous person. Right? We look at people. And from your perspective, meaning the onlooker's perspective, you can't understand what that other person is doing. And that other person may very well be kosher v'yosher, straight and kosher. So why does it look that way? Why is it a confusing picture? So Reb Nosson's explaining it to us. You're full of MS, and he's full of MS. You're both coming to the same goal. But because your MS doesn't look the same way as his MS, then his MS to you looks wrong. Can't possibly be the right way to go, because the right way to go is the way I'm going. And if he's not going my way, it can't be the right way. Because who knows, says Reb Nosson, the emes of his friend. Only the most righteous person who comes with an Evan Tov, with that stone, the self-generating source of Hashem's light. Only that kind of a person is able to look, to glance, to look into ulahayir, and to shine the light b'ha'emes into the truth. Shibichinas chalon, which is like a chalon. The other person, meaning the other person's chalon. The tzaddik comes and holds his light and shines that light through the chalon of the other person. Shakal echad ve'echad miYisrael. Only a tzaddik is able to do that. Only a tzaddik is able to go and look at another person and say, you're on the wrong track. Or, yeah, you're on the right track. Only a tzaddik is allowed and capable of saying that. Everybody else, we're all dealing with the same thing. We're all dealing through the mechanism of chalon. And therefore, my chalon isn't any better than your chalon. And my chalon is not going to give me the same rays of Hashem's light that yours is. And therefore, the manifestation of how you are Oved Hashem and you daven and you do your Avodas Hashem in other ways is going to look different than mine. Continuing. I was going to give you another example, but I don't want to. I want to keep going. Avoshar B'nai Yisrael, but all the other B'nai Yisrael, meaning me and you, hopefully, we're all in the same boat. I feel like sharing, even though they're kosher, their level of truth is coming through the mechanism of chalon. And if that's the case, then you cannot look at the emes of somebody else. Because in his opinion, in other words, from his perspective, you can make a mistake. Because the other guy can't be doing things in the correct way because it doesn't make sense to me what he's doing. אבל באמס גם חברו כוונתו el ha'emes. But in truth, says Rav Nosson, gam chavero kavanoso, his friend's kavana, his friend's intent, his friend's heartfelt intent is el ha'emes, to the truth. Lefi madregaso v'shosho, according to his level and his root. So an important concept to keep in mind. So let's say, for example, let's say you're in shul, right? And you see somebody davening. And let's say the person's not the biggest tzaddik in the world, to put it mildly. And he davens a certain way. And you say to yourself, well, there's no way his davening is effective because look how he's davening and look who he is. But that's not the reality. The reality is I only see the other guy through my chalon, through my window. I'm not a self-generating light of Hashem. I'm not an Evan. I don't see truth at its absolute purest, crystal clear way to know exactly what's going on with this other guy. And what Nosson is telling us is when I look through my window with my notion of what truth is, and I see the other guy doing something, and I interpret it as being wrong, I'm not giving the other guy enough credit because on whatever level he's at right now, this could be the very best he can do. This is his MS. For that guy, this is his MS. Has anybody ever talked to a kid that has chocolate all over his face and you say to them, did you eat the donut? And they say, what do I do? And it's on their face and they say, nope, not me. The kid ate the donut. He's got the chocolate on his face. There's no more donut. But on that child's level, they were put in a situation where they got caught. They didn't know what to do. They didn't have any other way to get out of that situation. They were struggling. They had to come up with something quick, and it didn't work. And they know it didn't work. So that other guy in shul, or that other person performing some mitzvah, on whatever level they're on, they're actually probably doing the very best they can at that moment. And if when we look at other people, we say, you know what, I don't have the inside track on every other person in the whole world. In fact, I don't have the inside track on any other person in the whole world. I only have my little chalon, and the light comes through my chalon the best that I can muster, and that comes from Hashem. But that chalon does not give me the ability to look out the window into someone else's window and know what's going on with that other person, to the extent that I can say, they're not doing the right thing. Only my way is the right way and not their way. Because even if, let's say, and I'll say this, even if my way is objectively a better way, that person may not be ready for that. They may not be there. And therefore, it would be wrong for them. It's like sometimes, unfortunately, we see Bali Tshuva. They don't even, at that point, at the initial stages of becoming religious and learning about Judaism, they don't know how to string two letters of the Aleph Beis together. And yet, already they're wearing a certain lavush, certain type of clothing, or they're saying something is prohibited when they don't know what they're talking about, and it may not be. But the point is that they're way over their heads. So too, when we look at someone else's window and we say that the other person should be doing something differently, it could be that no, actually on their level, they're doing things the way they're supposed to be doing them. And therefore, we need to be careful. We're going to stop here, even though it's in the middle of the paragraph. And God willing, we're going to look forward to continuing this next week. I hope and pray that you found it valuable. And I know that since I started learning Torah tests in preparation for the Shir, and also these halachos, I've been spending extra time during davening, especially Shemona Esrei, reminding myself, Eliyahu, is what's coming out of your mouth, and that's right now. Are you believing what you're saying? Do you really want what you're asking Hashem to give you? Are you grateful when you're saying modim, etc., etc.? I've been making that effort. It's been wonderful. And I have not been able to forget about this halacha as well. Um, it's had a big impact on me and how I look at other people and viewing the idea of hezek re'iyah, not lining up one chalon to another, in a very abstract way. Because it takes the halacha from just don't build one window in front of another window to a beautiful new dimension of altogether how we view other people and perceive them in their own paths of avodas Hashem. So, God willing, we should all participate in each other's paths of avodas Hashem in an encouraging way and in a setting an example kind of way, and God willing, we'll be able to grow together. Pamela writes, "Thank you for going through this topic. It gives us a lot to think on a daily. Think on daily. Thank you very much. I found it the same way. I found it, and there was something that I don't feel at liberty to discuss online that was going on in my personal life just around the time that I started learning this Torah and these halachos to prepare for the shir. That I said, I cannot believe that Reb Nosson was waiting for me to open this page. It couldn't have happened any other way. I was like, thank you, Reb Nosson. Baruch Hashem, I had Hashgacha Pratis. It was a huge, huge lesson for me in a very, very meaningful, deep, personal way. Okay, thank you, Yanko, for joining us again. I appreciate it. I look forward to seeing everybody next week. Yaya, have a good Shabbos. Stefania, thank you for joining us. Beryl, wonderful. Yehuda, especially in person. And Yashikach, have a good Shabbos. And good luck implementing what we've been learning. All the best.